The Netflix executives must be up in their office throwing a Diddy party right now. Jake Paul is going to retire a billionaire. Not only is this something that should never have even been possible, this is something that should never have even have crossed anybody's minds as being even remotely feasible. Jake Paul has confirmed that he will indeed fight former world heavyweight champion AJ Anthony Joshua in December as he replaces Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, before we talk about the fight, let's talk about the response to this announcement, because the general consensus is that people seem to be saying that Jake Paul never should have even pushed for this fight. And I agree, if this is a real fight, which we'll talk about a bit later, then Jake Paul is probably in some serious trouble. But I promise you that is not what's going through his mind right now. Let's be so serious. When Jake Paul wakes up after this fight, he is waking up to a bag big enough to retire 100 families for the rest of their generations. And of course, you've already got the Twitter trolls talking because everybody loves to hate about everything.
Yeah, nobody cares. This should be his last. He beat up an old man and got paid to do it. Not a sport, but a spectacle.
Brother, this post went up 5 seconds ago and you replied the second it did. I think you care.
Can't wait to not watch the fake punches.
Yeah, look, you're gonna be watching. Whether you love Jake Paul or you hate Jake Paul, you're gonna be watching this fight. For those of y'all who haven't seen, Dana White was asked about it yesterday, and these were the words that he had to say about the fight.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a bad idea.
No, it's not. It's a bag.
That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think everybody's going to get what they finally been waiting for.
And he's right. I promise you, if Dana White is tuning into the fight, y'all Twitter niggas, nobody cares. Y'all ain't above tuning into the fight too. For the amount of money that Jake Paul is receiving for this fight, bro, sub me and I'll fight AJ. I remember watching this video a few months back about the $39 million, 5,700 acre ranch that Jake Paul had just bought.
Well, we're gonna build an F1 track. Now, I don't know if it'll turn into a...
You are gonna build a track here?
Yeah, racetrack. Probably also multiple racetracks throughout time. And I'm gonna be selling like 10 membership slots to private guests. And it's gonna come with a little house with their own personal garage.
Wow. And you can just fly you could
land the jet on the airstrip and then go race cars.
You're putting an airstrip on the property as well?
Yeah.
This guy's insane.
Bro, after this fight, Jake is going to be able to buy this thing several times over. But that's enough about the motives for Jake Paul taking this fight for now. Let's address the elephant in the room and talk about the actual fight. Now, if this fight isn't scripted, which knowing Netflix's reputation and Jake Paul's fighting history, we can't guarantee that it won't be.
Like I said, I don't like the better keep messing with that mouthpiece. That ain't good.
Like, come on, let's be so serious. This fight was not real. If this fight, by some force of nature, isn't scripted, Jake Paul is in a lot of trouble. Jake Paul's full list of opponents so far: YouTuber Anisan Gibb, who he knocked out in the first round; basketball player Nate Robinson; retired Ben Askren; retired Tyron Woodley; retired Tyron Woodley again; retired Anderson Silva; Tommy Fury, who he lost to; Nate Diaz; Andre August; Ryan Borland; Mike Perry, and a very, very old Mike Tyson. What do all of these fighters have in common? Well, that would be the fact that none of them are 6'6", 252-pound former heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua, who also happens to be 36 with much more to lose than any other of Jake Paul's previous opponents if he doesn't knock out Jake Paul. Before this fight, they were kind of trying to set up a fight between Jake and Francis Ngannou, which people were very, very against. Everybody was for the idea that Francis was going to put Jake Paul in a coffin, and Francis is an incredible fighter. But do I need to remind you guys what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou when they met each other in the ring?
Anthony Joshua can dispose the MMA champion! It is lights out!
This is what Anthony Joshua can look like when he's fighting with something to prove, and while he doesn't necessarily have anything to prove in this fight against Jake Paul, just the amount of reputation on the line for this fight is more than enough motivation for him to take it seriously. If this is a real fight and Anthony Joshua shows up that day actually trying to knock Jake Paul out, there is next to nothing that Jake Paul can do. He would be in loads and loads and loads of trouble. Now, the concern would be that Jake Paul walks out of his fight with Anthony Joshua with a serious injury, but let's be so for real, the people who are complaining on Twitter about this fight aren't complaining because they think Jake Paul's gonna get hurt and they're worried. They're just mad that Jake Paul got a fight with Anthony Joshua. But honestly, my perspective on this is that we should actually kind of be celebrating how Jake Paul was even able to get this far. Think about where Jake is coming from. I'm 21 years of age as of today. Drop happy birthdays in the comments if you made it this far. Jake Paul is 28. This is what Jake Paul looked like when he was 21.
Okay, so mustard and mayonnaise are in a race. Mustard is winning. What did mustard say to mayonnaise?
I don't know.
Ketchup! SpongeBob! I know you're in there!
Okay.
Come out! SpongeBob's in here. Look, if you text her 4 times and she doesn't reply, just take the frickin' hint.
Does this look to you like somebody who's going to be ready to fight Anthony Joshua in 7 years? Mind you, for fair comparison, this is Anthony Joshua when he was 21. He's now 36. That was 15 years ago. This nigga's been doing this shit his whole life. This fight shouldn't be possible, should never have been possible. This fight should never have been thought about by anybody seriously in the boxing world. But Jake Paul has actually managed to transform himself into such a big name in the boxing space that he made this fight possible. Now, another question that's coming out of this fight too that we should mention is why Anthony Joshua would risk his reputation taking this fight. Or maybe not even going as far as to say he's risking his reputation, but why would it even be worth his time to take that fight? The motivation behind Anthony taking this fight is, obviously, the bag. If you're Anthony Joshua, 2-time heavyweight world champion, 2-time Olympic boxing medalist, and your agent comes into your office and says, by the way, you can make over $100 million fighting Jake Paul on Netflix in December. Bro, you're gonna laugh your way to the bank. I would bet my left and right nut that Anthony Joshua has not stopped smiling since signing that deal with Jake Paul. He has not stepped foot in the gym. He's just been chilling at home, smiling. Cheesing, if you will. This is likely to be the freest bag of his life, as long as it's not written in that contract that he either has to lose or go the full rounds with Jake Paul. So far, Tommy Fury is the only boxer to have beat Jake Paul in a fight, and this is what he had to say about the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight a couple months back.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the f*** is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on, like you can't be serious. You can't beat me. And I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So it's just ludicrous. It really is.
Now, in this little monologue, Tommy Fury makes several good points. 1. Jake Paul could not beat Tommy Fury, so there is no chance in hell that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua. 2. If Jake Paul does beat Anthony Joshua, there are 2 winners in that situation. Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. Tommy would feel on top of the world if Jake Paul managed to get a scripted win against Anthony Joshua because they couldn't even force Tommy into doing that. And 3, the idea of this fight is so ludicrous, I can't believe we're even talking about it. But apparently it's happening and we are talking about it, so I'm interested to see how this goes on. If this fight happens on the 19th of December, I will obviously be tuning in. Let me know what y'all think about it. If you're new here, consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace.